Are you wasting your time responding to sources sought notices? Are they really worth responding to? Some say yes and some say not, but what's the truth? In this video, I will show you the best practices so you can ensure you are investing your time and resources wisely and not wasting them. We're going to pull back the curtain on how these notices work. Before we dive in, I've created a free learning hub at learngovcon.net where you can continue your journey. I'll share more on that at the end. It's packed with resources for exactly this kind of strategic planning. I'm Derek James. I have personally won 32 contracts worth over $15 million working for small businesses across various agencies. I've been in the federal space since 2013, and since 2019, I've worked directly with small businesses to enter the space, providing hands-on mentorship and strategic guidance. In that time, I've helped my students secure over $75 million in small business contracts. I've seen what works and what's just noise. Now, let's talk about those notices. The big debate in our community is, are responding to sources sought notices really worth it? Is it a strategic move or a distraction? Let's break down both sides. On one side, experts argue you must respond to help shape the requirement. By showing capability early, you build a vital relationship with contracting officers before the formal RFP even exists. The other side says it's a waste of time. They suggest skipping this stage and saving your limited energy and resources for the actual solicitation stage, where the win actually happens. But first, what exactly is a sources sought notice? In its simplest form, it's a market research tool used by the federal government to find capable vendors. It is not a solicitation. There is no contract award at the end of a sources sought. It's the government asking, who is out there and what can you do? It usually requires you to submit a capability statement or a brief response outlining your experience and technical approach for a specific scope of work. Now let's look at this through the eyes of the contracting officer. Their goals are different than yours, and understanding them is key to your strategy. COs use these notices to determine if there are enough capable small businesses to set the contract aside rather than opening it up for full and open competition. They are looking for the rule of two evidence that at least two responsible small businesses can perform the work at a fair market price. Your response is that evidence. If you're a prime government contractor, these notices are early signals. They tell you what's coming down the pipeline months or even years in advance. This early intelligence allows you to start building your team, finding subcontractors, and understanding the mission of the agency before your competitors even know it's a project. As we covered in our last video on the 4 stages of a bid, the process starts with acquisition planning and market research. This is where the sources sought lives. Skipping this stage means you're entering the game at the solicitation phase, often when the rules of the competition have already been written, sometimes based on your competitor's input. Let's dive deeper into what happens behind the scenes during stage 1. This is when the agency defines the need, estimates costs, and decides how to buy it. If you aren't involved here, you're a passenger, not a pilot. Contracting officers don't just use sources sought notices, they check past spending on FPDS, look at GSA schedules, and even scan industry news. They are building a profile of the industry bandwidth. Let's dive deeper into the first argument, influencing the procurement. This is a powerful but often misunderstood tactic. It's not about lobbying, it's about providing data. By responding, you can suggest specific set-asides like SDVOs B or 8A. If the CO sees enough interest from your category, they are more likely to set it aside. This can literally remove your biggest competitors. You can also provide feedback on the statement of work. You might point out requirements that are too restrictive or suggest better ways to achieve the mission goals. This helps the government get a better deal. It's also about visibility. You're putting your name and your capability in front of the CO and the program manager early, building that trust before the high-stakes phase. Trust is the currency of GovCon. When you give feedback on an SOW, the CO listens. They don't want to release an RFP that no one can fulfill or that results in a failed project. Your expertise helps them avoid those pitfalls. Sometimes a sources sought leads to an industry day or a pre-bid conference. These are prime networking opportunities where you can meet the CO and program managers in person. Don't miss these. Now, for the second side, being selective. This is a reality check for many small businesses, especially those just starting out or running a lean team. Bandwidth is finite. For a small team, responding to every notice is impossible. Every hour you spend on a sources sought is an hour you're not spending on an actual proposal that could win money. That's a high price to pay. Some argue that your chances of winning don't always increase just because you responded early. If the agency has a pet contractor already, your early response might be ignored. It's harsh, but it's the reality. In those cases, it's better to save your bandwidth and go all in during the solicitation phase with a superior technical proposal and aggressive pricing. You win by outperforming on the RFP. Responding to a notice costs more than just time. It takes mental energy and focus. If you burn out your team on research notices, they won't have the edge they need when the real RFP drops. You have to treat your time like capital. You wouldn't invest your last $1,000 into a high-risk gamble. Don't invest your last 20 hours of the week into a notice you have a 1% chance of influencing. So, what's the truth? Honestly, it depends. The answer is highly subjective and depends entirely on your current situation, your goals, and your specific niche. What's right for a seasoned government contracting team with dedicated proposal writers is very different for a brand new beginner team of one. You can't use a corporate playbook for a solo startup. Both sides have valid points. Your job is to prioritize and balance your pipeline. You have to be honest about the resources you have right now. Don't lie to yourself about your bandwidth. You also have to look at what other important opportunities are on the market. If a perfect match RFP is dropping next week, skip the sources sought today. Keep your eyes on the horizon. The truth is that a sources sought is a tool. Like any tool, you need to know when to use it and when to leave it in the toolbox. Strategy is everything. You're building a business, not just checking boxes. Now, let's talk agency nuances. The DoD often uses sources sought to find very specific technical niches. They are more likely to stay with incumbents unless you show a massive technological leap. Civilian agencies like the VA or DHS might use them more for set aside determination under the rule of two. If you see a civilian notice in your NAICS code, your response could be the one that flips it to a small business set aside. To help you decide, let's look at a quick framework. Ask yourself these three questions before you hit submit on that response. This is your go/no-go internal review. First, can you actually perform the work at a high level? Don't waste the CO's time if you're just checking a box. Your reputation starts here. A poor response is worse than no response. Second, is this an agency you want a long-term relationship with? If it's a one-off project, maybe skip it. If it's a core agency for you, lean in. Relationships lead to sole source awards down the line. Third, what is the opportunity cost? What else could you be doing with those 10 or 20 hours? If the answer is nothing better, then do it. But if you have an RFP due, prioritize the money. What happens after you hit submit? Don't just forget about it. Log the CO's contact info and set a reminder to follow up in 2 weeks if you haven't seen an update. Stay on their radar. Ask if the market research results have been compiled and if they've made a set aside determination. This shows you're serious and helps you build that professional relationship we discussed earlier. Here's a pro tip to make this easier. Create a library of modular capability statements. Don't start from scratch every single time. It's about working smarter, not harder. By having your past performance and core competencies pre-written and polished, you can cut the response time for a sources sought in half. This is how the big primes do it. This allows you to be more active in the market research phase without burning out your team. Speed and quality are not mutually exclusive if you're organized and systematic. Let's talk about common mistakes. The biggest one, sending a generic capability statement that doesn't address the specific scope of the notice. It's the fastest way to get ignored. COs can spot a canned response from a mile away. If you don't take the time to tailor your response to their specific pain points, they won't take the time to read it. They want solutions, not templates. Another mistake is being late. In federal contracting, deadlines are absolute, even if it's just a sources sought. Being late tells the CO you're not professional and you can't manage a schedule. Not a good first impression. Finally, don't overcomplicate it. Keep it concise, focused, and easy to read. COs have dozens of these to review. Make theirs easy, and you'll stand out as the vendor who is easy to work with. To summarize everything we've talked about, responding can help you shape the work and build trust, but it must be balanced against your team's bandwidth. You are the CEO of your time. Remember, the CO is looking for the rule of two. Your response is the evidence they need to keep the contract in the small business category. That's a huge win for the entire small business community. Choose the opportunities that match your business best. Don't chase everything, chase what you can win and where you can provide real value to the mission. Strategic growth is sustainable growth. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to federal strategy. I've built a whole world of resources for you at our free learning hub to help you scale your government contracting business. Continue your learning journey for free at learngovcon.net. Everything we've discussed today and more is available there to help you win. I'll see you there. Good luck out there.